everybody, this is Masterath and welcome to another episode of MasterRants. Now, once again I do apologise, the Masterath shirt is not on right now. It is either in the wash or I can't find it. Guaranteed by the next one I'll probably be wearing it again. So ignore what you see down there. This one is actually about Twitter wars with celebrities nowadays. Celebrities. You got big booty man who can't speak and woman with 1,000 exes fighting it on Twitter. Let's be honest guys, I don't want to do this, but I'm sure you guys would want to listen to it, so... What, you don't? Okay, identification then, let's go with that one. So, forms of identification, provisional license, driving license, passports, those crappy £10 card things you get when you're 18 and you can't afford anything else. They all state that you'll be accepted to get an 18 rated game, an 18 rated movie, a pint at the pub, a pack of cigarettes. But it doesn't always work that way, does it? I think we've all at least had one moment where it just hasn't worked. And in what place does this happen more than anywhere else? Nightclubs. Guaranteed. So you're there and there's the doorman or the bouncer, or as I prefer to call them, gorillas. Because on a serious note, the job requirements for a doorman are pretty stupid. All they ask is for you to be big and scary looking. You could have someone my height who's had like 10, maybe even 20 years martial arts experience. No, they won't accept him, but they accept like a 6'5" guy who's eaten too many Big Macs before the interview. The worst thing is that these gorillas are pretty much the focal point, the front point of any nightclub. They can pretty much state who goes in and who doesn't. So a lot of them, as you can probably tell, will abuse their power. For example, one of the local clubs that I know of in town will allow women of 17 years old, not legally allowed to drink in this country. It's still 18, remember? But if they flash a bit of boob, yeah, they're in. They're fine. But when I flash a bit of boob, I'm on the floor getting squashed by a 300-pound fat guy. On a serious note though, if I was to run away from a generic bouncer, he wouldn't be able to catch me. He'd get 5 steps and then be out of breath. He'd be panting like a 70-year-old asthma patient who's 50 years of smoking and he's just had the best sex of his life. I mean, I know I put myself down a lot, right? And I know I'm a bit on the chunky side, but God's sakes, I'm thinner than most of those fuckers. On a serious note though, would you prefer to have someone of about, let's say, 5'9", 5'10", for fairly muscular build, let's say, but a lean muscular build, with years of experience in the martial arts, protecting you in a club, or would you rather have like a 6'5", 300-pound fat guy who can like squash one person on the floor and crack their skull wide open to the point that brain fluid spills out their nose? Which would you pick? To be honest, I'd go for the short guy who knows what he's doing, not the tall, mean and McDonald's that will just fall on someone, you know, just sort of like, give that man an ambulance! But anyway, back to IDs. Now I was refused to get into this place, which to be honest stays open till 6 in the morning. You're asking for bleeding trouble if you stay up till 6 in the morning, for God's sakes. I was rejected entry because my ID was too faded. Now, fair enough, it had faded like a little bit, but you wouldn't even have to squint and still know that it's me. Just think of me now with a bit longer hair and no beard. Easy, right? The fact is, my ID is in what is known nowadays as a wallet. And a wallet you put in your trousers. And you know, this isn't the bleeding North Pole. You know, it gets warm. My left leg gets warm. If I could, I would transfer all of my heat to my right leg. And then my left leg can get gangrene and die. That's fine as long as my ID doesn't get faded so I can get into your probably over-expensive shithole place. I'm definitely not bitter. You'd probably ask me to pay 10 quid at the door anyway. Save my money, I guess. Do you see this? See this? This is sweat. Alright? It's bloody boiling out there. My ID is faded because of that bastard. Well, you're going to throw the sun down as well. And they burn away some of your fat from your Big Macs. This episode of MasterRants is not sponsored by McDonald's. So I'm probably going to have to get a new ID now. Because mine's been too faded because it gets warm in England sometimes. It just does. I mean, yeah, it could stay really bloody cold, but then what the hell would have happened to global warming? I mean, it'd be really cold. Global freezing, if anything. And you know what's hilarious about bouncers? If you're big and gribbly and, you know, enough like this. So pretty much you do look a bit like a monkey, you know. That's not funny. But if you get sacked for over-excessive violence, you can probably get a job on the Jeremy Kyle show anyway. The worst thing is, though, the bullshit they come up with not to let you in sometimes. I've heard stories about this, and to be honest, if I was to lie at my job, I'd get the sack straight away. These guys can lie on a daily basis and be perfectly fine. I've heard stories about people being too drunk to get in, even though they literally had 1 pint beforehand. Perhaps because, oh, they didn't like the look of them. But even though you are physically strong with the power of the Big Macs, you're mentally weak to the point of you can't tell a person who's probably like 6 inches shorter and about half your weight what you really want to say. I mean, come on! Are those that do this really that afraid? I mean, they could say to any one of their other gorilla bouncer mates, oh, this person's done this, and then, without warning, on the floor, for no reason. I mean, guaranteed, a lot of drunks do some stupid things, and if they do something like that, then yeah, they deserve to be on the floor. But, let's be honest, a lot of these bouncers do fabricate things. When it comes to getting to a club, the women have it so easy in comparison to the men. I mean, the women, show a bit of boob, that's fine. Show a bit of boob, and the guy's like, I could get a chance later with my 20 stone ass. Yeah, and she's like a twig, to be honest. She's a twig. But she showed me like a A-cup boob. I think I got a shot here. But she's there with a boyfriend. Lay off her, you dirty bastard. She's probably half your age. Anyway, so I'm going to have to get some new ID. Fine by me, to be honest. It was 5 years ago that I got my old one. But there's no date where it's not invalid anymore. Just saying. In my opinion, though, when it comes to these places that you need ID to get into, or even to get a drink or something, then you should always have an ultraviolet light as someone who works there. Because on most ID cards that are kind of, let's say, iffy, or if they're faded a bit, you can shine it on there and there's an encrypted sort of lettering, which pretty much tells you it's real. Don't try and bullshit us saying it's fake when we paid the money for it, you twats. Anyway guys, that's it from this video. Have you guys got a story from me about any time you've not been allowed to get into a place because of your ID? And have you got a story about a bullshit reason that one of these, you know, gorillas have said to prevent you from getting in, even if it's completely fabricated? Post all your comments down below. I'm Masterath, and I think I'm going to go for a Big Mac. See you then. Give that man an ambulance!